It's time to start.
I guess we should talk to you guys.
I guess we should.
Oh,
Cheers.
here's happy Wednesday.
How are you and how is everybody else doing?
I am good.
Yeah?
It is Wednesday. I don't know how it's Wednesday.
It's just like zooming by. All of the time just zooms right by.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even understand anymore.
No. The good news is that we are live on Facebook today.
Woo! And it's actually working. We're also live on YouTube.
Right?
Steve is here already. Awesome. Hello, Steve.
Hey, we were just talking about you.
Yeah, we were. It's funny. On my end, it says Zara Ashby just joined. I'm like, Zara's here.
Yes, I am.
My wife said it would be better if somebody wasn't drinking all of the good wine. That would be the wine I'm drinking.
Well, what are you drinking?
It's called True Story. It's from local, well, not local, but it's from a Wisconsin vineyard down in New Glarus. And it's this really amazing summery. It's not a strawberry wine, but it has strawberry notes. And it's just like super crisp and refreshing and just delightful to drink. So that's what I'm drinking today.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll take my first sip. I've been waiting for it to start. We're going to take a weekend soon-ish, I think, down there and go visit and probably buy another case of wine.
Ooh, you should send me some. Just saying.
Well, I could bring some to Chicago.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Although I don't know how you are you checking bags?
I have to.
Okay. So then you can get it home.
Because I'm bringing a camera bag, which will be my carry-on.
Okay.
But I'm also flying Southwest, which means I can take as many. Well, not as many, but I don't think I need more than the 2 checked bags.
Right.
I'm sure I can make it more, but you know.
Yeah, just pack up the house, you know.
Who needs the crap in here anyway?
Right. Yeah, who needs this stuff? All right, we got Harry here. Steve said I got another quote request from my ad last night for a Big Family Outdoor shoot. She sent over the quote with info, now waiting. That's awesome. Harry says, I've missed the last few weeks due to work. That's totally understandable. Totally cool. Glad you're here today, though. And John Lewis is here, says John is in the building.
In the virtual building.
In the virtual building, right. All right, so what the heck are we doing today, Zara?
We are going to talk about websites.
Yes. Oh, Frank's here too. Frank just joined us on YouTube. Hello, Frank. How's it going?
Hey. We haven't seen Frank in a few days.
I think Frank's been busy too.
Everyone's busy. Jeez, guys. It's like you have a life or something.
Right?
Man.
It's like you have something better to do than sit here and watch us.
And drink
wine.
How
could that be? Right, and drink wine.
That I don't know.
Yeah. So websites.
Websites. We're going to talk about websites because it's really important to have a good, I think, online presence.
Yes.
I think most of us would agree with that. And,
you know, actually, I want to say that you would think that most people would agree, but I keep finding that is just not true. And so I actually want to take just a moment to just talk about why it's important to have a website.
Right.
And because people think, oh, you know, my Instagram or my Facebook or my whatever, like, you know, that's where everybody is anyway, so why don't I just use that? And I've built my whole business there. And that's great. Like, there's nothing wrong with having, you know, I built my whole business on YouTube, right? But I have a website. And here's the thing. YouTube can go away. Instagram can go away. Facebook changes the algorithm. Instagram does the same thing. YouTube does the same thing, right? You don't own or control that platform. You technically own your content on that platform, but the platform itself, but the platform itself is not yours, and you basically have zero control over what happens on that platform, other than your ability to produce content and put it out there on that platform.
Yeah.
But a website, that's yours. You own it. It's your home on the internet. It's the thing that will always be there, provided you maintain it. And you control it. You control the content. You control the look. You control what it does. You control what it doesn't do. All of that stuff is yours. And that is why you have to have a website. Even if your business is built on some other platform or some other whatever, you've got to have a website.
Well, and I think the thing that people forget too is like you know how like back in the day storefronts, like if you were selling a product or even a service, like storefronts were important because people wanted to go there because it was more personal, like it was you, it was, you know, they could shake your hand. Now your website is you. Like your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, that's the handshake, right? And that handshake gets you in the door and people want to see that website. I had my website down for a couple of months while we were like reworking things and switching back to PhotoBiz from WordPress. And I actually had a significant number of people go, don't you have a website?
Right. Yep.
And I was like, oh, you know, you can go to Facebook, you can go to Instagram. And they're like, oh, okay. But having a home, having that like virtual storefront, I think is really important. And you're right, like you don't own the content on anything else. So like when Facebook shuts down or if we have another, just like last week we had that whole glitch with it with Facebook and Instagram where pictures weren't loading. And if you are a photography business or if you're any business that depends on those photos on your web or on Facebook and Instagram, you are kind of shit out of luck.
Yeah. And the other issue too is this is a small thing to think about, but it is part of the equation. It's like you present your photos on your website and you control the presentation of them, what's around them and what's not around them, and the quality of the image there that you upload.
Right.
On Facebook, you know, litters all the ads and all the other trash around it and the different posts and, you know, whatever else they're doing. And they compress the shit out of it because it's Facebook and they're hosting, you know, a quadrillion, you know, whatever, however many damn images, and they have to be as tiny as possible because that's server space and whatever. And that's all stuff that is a detriment to what you're trying to do. It can be helpful. I'm not saying Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you shouldn't be
They're
there.
great marketing tools and you should be there.
Yes, exactly. So,
but that's what they are. Your Facebook and your Instagram are marketing tools to help push people go to your product, which is on your website.
Right. And you could almost think of like Facebook, whatever, as the business card of the internet.
Right.
And then the website is your storefront.
Well, and just like I think it goes to it's important to mention, like Google doesn't pick up Instagram and Facebook for your SEO.
Right.
It picks up your website and your blog though. And so Google is still the #1 search engine. Like, yes, people will search for things in Facebook or Instagram, but Google is still your #1 search engine. And when people are searching for, you know, local wedding photographer, local woodworking, whatever, your Facebook isn't going to pop up, but your website will.
Right.
And unless you are searching for someone's specific business name or whatever, Facebook and Instagram won't pop up in a Google search.
Yeah. And if you try to search on Facebook and Instagram, I'm sorry, but their search results are typically trash. You know, it's hard to find anything useful when you're like searching on Facebook. That's one of the things that I get most frustrated about on Facebook. Like you see a post and you're like, oh, I want to look at that. And then Facebook decides, oh, this is the exact time I'm going to refresh your feed. And then that fucking post is just gone to the world. You try to search for it. You go to that person's page, and it's just like it's fucking vaporized, right? But
it's buried.
Oh my God, yeah. So stuff like that, right? You can't control any of that on Facebook, but you can on your website. So yeah. So Drew is here. Hey, Drew. Drew says, a website. I need one of those. All right, Drew, you definitely need a website. And my wife said, 27-year-old partner in Books Don't Review Themselves does not think a website is important. Maybe the younger generation doesn't use it as much.
I don't agree with that. I think they just don't know the value of it. Yeah. I'm not very much older than that, and I 100% believe that you need a website. I mean, and here's the thing too, right? Like my websites haven't been updated in probably almost 3 years, actually 3 years, because the last time they got updated was I was still pregnant, and when I was state we were in for imaging, PhotoBiz, who runs my website, their guys were like, you need to send us new images. We need to update your website.
Right.
So, they updated all three of my sites about 3 years ago. And that's something I need to do. I do need to go through and update it, put up new information, put up new images. Long story short, it's 3 years old technically, and it's still getting me the results I needed to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you have something that's put together well, that has the pertinent information, it'll do the work for you. It's obviously a good idea, and we'll talk about this as we do the critiques, to regularly update your work. But if you have quality work that represents the work that you do on your website, and you have a website that is working for you, then it can almost, not entirely, but almost be a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right. And you can for the most part. Like if you are wanting to use it for SEO and things like that, you do probably need to update it a little bit more often. But in general, it's definitely something that I think can kind of live on its own. It's not something that needs daily attention like your social media sites do.
Right. All right.
So I think we should start off with talking about kind of the elements of what creates a good website, at least in our opinion. I'm sure there's 1,000,005 other people who'll tell you differently, and it's up to you who to listen to. But this is kind of like where we feel websites are important and the elements that should be included. I think the most important thing is, does your website actually showcase the service and the products you are selling?
Right.
And then from there, do you have a good design? Do you have good descriptions? Do people know who you are and what you're selling? Is it SEO optimized, SEO effective? Is there call to actions like contact us, book us, things like that? And then obviously, do you have analytics set up with Google Analytics?
And some of this stuff is intimidating when you just say it, right? Like when you just say SEO, like, what the fuck does that mean?
What the hell is it?
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So to be clear, SEO means search engine optimization, which really means Google optimization, because when we're talking about search engines, we're basically talking about Google.
Right.
But the basic idea is that SEO means that your website is designed to give Google the information and juice that it needs to rank your website. And you can dive deep into the world of SEO, but I think the key to good SEO is really just keeping it simple. That is, making sure your pages are titled correctly, making sure that the content on the pages has the keywords that you want. You don't stuff keywords, which means repeat wedding 43,000 times, but that you have the keywords on the pages. That if you are blogging on your website, which is something we'll talk about, your blog content augments the services and the products that you're trying to sell, and additionally is tagged and has keywords in the content and has a title that reflects all of those things. That's basically the simplified version of search engine optimization. You can go deep into it, but essentially you want to think that your entire website is designed to tell Google that you are a wedding photographer, as an example, right? Which means that it should be focused entirely around that. And it can have other stuff on it. I'm not saying it should, it doesn't necessarily have to only be weddings, but the more content on there that talks about weddings, that is wedding content, all of that sort of stuff is going to help Google rank you. Location information is also helpful in that for the region you're trying to book for. And one last thing I want to mention for that is something that's often ignored, but that can be a huge help for SEO, is adding alt titles and captions to your images on your website.
Yes.
This is stuff that doesn't necessarily show to people when they come to your website, but on the back end, when you upload images, you should have an option to be able to add the alt text and the caption. And that's something that Google will index. And if it says, wedding photo from something, whatever, Google's going to see that, and that's going to help the SEO.
So on that note, what I actually do is when I title my images, so I don't just leave the random numbers when I'm putting out final images, even for my clients, is I will actually put in, I do city, what it was, and the exact location. So I'll do, Denver wedding photographer or photography, Keystone Mountain Resort or Keystone, ski resort, and then I'll put in date and whatever to identify it for myself. And so even if my clients go to post it somewhere, it has that title, and now it's picking it up in there as well. The other thing that it really is helpful for, I've had people, labs that will actually contact me and say, hey, we know this is your photo. Did you give these clients permission to print it if they don't have a print release that they submitted with it? So that's kind of nice too, instead of it being like a random number.
Right. And a quick clarification too is, so that's the actual image. You're talking
Title.
about the file name, right?
Yep. Saving the file as like that specific. I know it's like long, but it works.
It gives the information. The other thing to do is think about the actual metadata that's embedded into the image, because that's another way that Google, if that metadata is maintained when you export it out of, say, Lightroom as an example, then that's information that Google will pick up with the search engine crawling as well, and that can help further optimize. All right, so we got a bunch of comments here. Should we catch up on those real quick?
I think so.
All right, so Steve said he's honestly been having a hard time finding somebody to really look at the website and give it a critique and on what could benefit it. So he's excited for this. That's awesome. We're definitely going to spend some time talking about your websites. He says, I also think I'm priced too cheap and need to raise. I've been told that by someone in the business that does very well doing weddings and families and portraits. That to
maybe
me
we'll do a pricing one.
Yeah, a quick pricing lookup too. Yeah. Drew points out something that we have on our notes to talk about, which is how important it is. Drew says, as far as your website, it needs to be mobile friendly. That is a huge turnoff if it won't load on my phone.
Yes.
But here's the deal. It's not only a turnoff if it won't load on your phone, it's actually going to make your website perform worse. You want to tell them why, Zara?
But hold on. We're talking mobile friendly.
Yep, we're talking mobile friendly.
Okay, so this is funny because I was like trying to like look up the statistics for this, and the best thing I could find on a short notice, because we're last minute, is a study from 2015. And so in 2014, when they did research, 60% of internet traffic comes from mobile devices, and this was 5 years ago in 2014. And so if 60% in 2014, even let's say it hasn't risen, which we know it has, 60% of traffic is coming from mobile devices, like you are losing so much business if your website isn't loading on a phone.
Right.
So much business.
Right.
Like I do most of my shopping on my phone.
Right.
Like I have computers galore, but my computers are used primarily for editing and email responses.
For working.
Right. I do my shopping, like I do my grocery shopping on my phone. I do my Amazon shopping on my phone. I book people on my phone. So yeah, if you're not mobile friendly, that's not good.
Yeah. The other thing is that Google will actually push your website down in the rankings if it is not mobile friendly. Like Google flat out is saying this and telling people this. They're saying if your website is not mobile friendly and mobile optimized, you're not going to rank well. So that is an absolute must for your website. It's not just about the users. It's obviously in the end about them, because you want them to find your website and be able to access it. But they're not going to find it if it's not mobile friendly. And the reason Google is punishing not mobile friendly websites is because they know everybody's moving towards mobile, and that's going to only become more and more prominent. Computers are always going to have their place, but it's going to be, not too long from now that 90 plus % of all web traffic to all websites will come from mobile devices, and it's just the way of the future.
I mean, just think about how many, kids of the younger generation, we should say,
Yeah.
don't even have laptops or desktop computers. They have phones and tablets.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So, I know several people. I mean, one of my really good friends, she's back in school and she does all of like her homework and everything on a tablet. Like she doesn't even use a laptop anymore for schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really, really important that you do get mobile optimized.
Yeah. So my wife has a question. She said, "What website do you use to see if your website is mobile friendly?" She says, "I know I used one, which I built it, and my website is phone friendly, but I don't remember what website I used." Um, that that's a little bit tricky because depending upon what you're using, it may or may not give you that information. The benefit today is that the industry has recognized that mobile is going to be the dominant browsing platform. So basically every website building tool by default has some sort of mobile optimization built in. So, like as an example, Kim's website, my wife's website, is built on WordPress using the Divi theme, and the Divi theme is mobile responsive and mobile optimized. So whatever we build on the website, on the desktop, just adapts itself to mobile platforms. And if you're
Right.
using a platform like Squarespace or Wix or whatever these other website builders are, if they're not mentioning and trumpeting their mobile optimization and responsiveness, then it's probably something you should back away from because they probably don't have it.
Right.
Yeah, so it should be one of the very first things that they're talking about in their sort of promotion of their product as far as a website builder goes.
And one of the ways to check is just pull up your website on your phone. Like
Yep.
if you guys don't have any other way, there are sites and things like that you can, put in your URL and it'll pop up, but like just pull it up on your phone, see how long it takes to load, see what it looks like. That's how I figured out that one of mine, they hadn't clicked the little button that said mobile optimized, and I was like, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so they fixed it for me, and so now mine are mobile optimized. I'd like them to be a little bit better, but in general, like it gets the information across. But yeah, just pull it up on your phone.
Yeah. Now, Google actually does have a page. I just posted this link into the chat, and it is a mobile friendly test. And it's Google's mobile friendly test. So if you put your URL in there, you put your web URL in there, and then hit the test button, it'll give you some kind of a response. And it'll tell you, yes, it is, no, it's not, or it sort of is, but these are some things that you should fix. And that is an actual tool from the search engine king that will tell you if you are or are not mobile friendly. All right, maybe let's talk a little bit about some of the design ideas that you should have in mind when you go into this, and then probably what do you think? Take the last half of the show for the website reviews.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right. So, one of the most important things is the design of the website, right? And it is much easier these days to design a website because we have tools like Divi on WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or again, PhotoBiz and any of the other number of website builders that are out there. But even as easy as it has gotten, it still can be complicated and difficult. So the actual designing of the website can be a real pain in the ass. But when you're designing, you have to think about the user and the person who's coming to the website. So, Zara, do you want to talk about how to optimize your design for the user, for the person that you're trying to attract to your website and
Yeah.
to become your client?
So one of the things that I always go to, and like again, this is like over the last, decade plus, is I used to have like, oh, whatever was like the latest fad. And I kind of moved back from that and went with like a really clean classic look. And I think it's really important to stay clean and classic and just have the focus on be whatever the product or service it is you are selling. So like if you go to, just zaraashby.com, it pretty much is starting out with like one giant wedding picture, and then it has, Denver's most luxurious wedding photography studio, a little bit about us, a contact us button, 2 more photos, and that's it. Like that is my front page. It has the information of like where we're located and all that, like in the footer. But it's super basic. When people go to this website, they know exactly what I do, what I sell. I am a wedding photographer. And then, you have the buttons up at the top, but it's just like super clean, super basic, keeping to like 3 to 4 colors. I would even say 2 colors, with white being your background. But just keeping it really simple. It doesn't have to look cool. It doesn't have to, be super fancy. It has to be easy to navigate and tell exactly what you have.
Yep.
Or what you're offering.
Yeah.
So things like, if you go to a website and there are certain things that like distract you, like ads or pop-ups or things like that, like, and you hate those, don't put those on your website.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest tips is when you're designing your website, think about the things you hate about other websites that you go to and never, ever put those on your website. Just don't do it.
Right? Like if it annoys you, it probably annoys other people too.
Yep, exactly. Pop-ups is a great example, right? People use pop-ups because pop-ups to a degree work. Pop-ups can entice people to do the thing you want them to do. But pop-ups also suck, right? Like if you don't mind pop-ups that come up on a website and you're fine putting it on your own, that's fine because you're thinking about it that way, and that's fine. But like I will not use pop-ups because I hate pop-ups. I just can't stand it. Right?
Yeah.
My wife just commented, this is less prominent now, but this used to be a huge problem. She says, for me, if I go to a photography site and they start playing cheesy music, I will immediately click off.
My gosh, yes.
Yeah. Show me the best of your work and don't make me wade through tons of photos. And that's another huge tip right there. Is the amount of work that you show. Like this is Zara's page here, and this is just the front page, but it's a really nice example of showing a few really excellent photos. But as far as like actual portfolios go and showing your work, we'll look at that in the website reviews. So the basic idea though is show your best work, not all of your work, right?
Right. And that's the other thing is keep it minimal. Like, what are you proud of? Not every single client needs to be on your website. Not every single client needs to be documented and shown. And some people prefer not to, have their images shared. Keep it minimal, show them your best work, and move on.
Yep, absolutely. So let's hit a couple of other quick points, then get into these reviews. Number one, think about the navigation of your website. Your navigation needs to be obvious to the user. And when you build your own website, your navigation is going to be obvious to you. So you're going to think that it's obvious, but it might not be. So one of the things that you absolutely need to be doing is having other people look at your website. But what you should not do is just send them the link and say, can you tell me what you think about this website? Because most people are just gonna be like, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, it's so great. I love your website and your work and blah, 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 right? Like Steve said earlier, is having a hard time finding people to give honest feedback. Rather, what you should do is find a few people that fit your target client, and if family, friends, whatever, and actually sit them down at the computer and just stand behind them and ask them to load up your website and just watch them and watch how they interact with it.
Right.
Because that will teach you so much about what is right and what is wrong about your website. And it will help you understand the things that you need to change to make it better. So this is a test that you can do after you've got your website designed. Okay, so anything else you want to add before we go to the critiques?
Nope, I think you got it.
All right, let's do it. We'll start with Steve's. This here is Steve's website. And the very first thing I noticed was the navigation, to me, is not obvious. The step inside contact availability in the middle there, with the images changing behind it, is really hard to see. And it took me until this image came up, this image here of the cathedral, to really understand that that was the navigation there and that I was supposed to be able to click on that and to see these different pages.
And so something as simple as just like a little white or gray background on those to make them look like buttons would solve that.
And it'll make them more readable too, because as these images change, it's hard to read constantly because the images are constantly changing, so that's distracting your eyes. In fact, to be perfectly honest, Steve, I'd kill the animation entirely.
Yeah.
For me, I like the idea of what you're trying to do, which is show several different images. But I think having a single page, kind of like Zara's setup was, or just one really powerful image on this page with that navigation there in the middle, if you want to sort of give them the powerful image the minute they get to your website impression, then just have that a single image here with some kind of separation between that navigation and the image itself, so that they can easily read it and easily click it and see what it is.
And also just, I'm going to go ahead and be an asshole here. The logo, Steve, we need to work on that. It's just, it doesn't reflect what your work is. Yeah. It's a little dated. Yeah. It's simple, which I like. Like, I really like the fact that it's simple. But it is a little dated, and your work is a lot more like higher end. Your photography is beautiful. Yeah. And the logo doesn't reflect that. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, just a simple update on the logo will help. The other thing that I literally just noticed, and I've looked at this website before we started, is the let us create your story at the top is completely lost with those images. So I think doing the one image, or if you really want 3 images, you can do them like side by side and not have the animation going, will really help that.
Yeah. As far as the logo goes, just to kind of clarify, like the things that I would suggest changing is like kill the drop shadow, kill the texture, and kill the gradient in the lettering, and just simplify that all out. I like the SLP Stephen Land Photography as a logo is fine. It's just it looks very. It looks amateurish compared to your actual photography work.
Right. And you want those two to kind of match. Like, think of things like Tiffany's and Starbucks and Coca-Cola. Like, their logos are really simple, but they reflect, like, Tiffany's is like their stupid font on blue. Like, come on, right? But like when you see that logo, you're like, you're going to spend money. And so that's what you want because it's part of your branding.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I would add is remove those social media links from the front page there. By and far, the goal is to get people to your website and then looking at your services and then booking you. Having social media links prominent is a distraction that can take them away from where you want them to be and put them into a place that's designed to keep them there and will almost immediately take them away from you and your content, right? Because if they go to Instagram, maybe they follow you, and maybe they spend 3 or 4 minutes scrolling through your feed and hearting up images, which is great. But then it's Instagram, and all of a sudden they see they have notifications. So maybe the notifications distract them, and they immediately forget that they came there to follow you and go look at their notifications, and then they get stuck in the Instagram feed, and then they forget what they were doing, and then you're gone, and you've lost them. Same thing with Facebook. And it's fine to have this stuff on your page because if they're not following you, it can be a way to get them following you, but diminish it. Put it in the footer, make the link small, make it something that is not in their face. And these aren't like in your face, but they're the easiest thing for me to see on the page because they're towards the bottom of the images. And as these images are rotating, they pretty constantly have a clean-ish background that allows them to stand out in a way that nothing else on the page is able to stand out. So for me, on your website, Steve, the social media links are actually the most prominent navigation elements that I'm seeing. And because I'm used to, and most websites have navigation along the top, my initial reaction was, let us create your story was a link to click, which it actually isn't. And again, if you want your navigation in the middle, that's fine. But then maybe even take away the let us create your story and just have those links there again with some sort of a background or button-like kind of thing to make them stand out and be more obvious as links. Hey, Dave just joined. Okay, so that's Steve's front page. Real quick before we move into more of Steve's website, Frank did have a question, which is, he says, would having a few pictures in a slideshow fashion be too complex on a front page? And that's kind of what Steve's doing here. And I know I said get rid of the animation, but I think slideshows can work. What do you think, Zara? How do you feel
It can
about them?
definitely work. I've seen some where, you go to the page and it's just like a few images rotating, but there's no text or anything like that on there. The text is above or below, and those work. I think it can definitely work. You can also put up a video.
Yeah.
I've seen some that have, they look great. I just think that making sure that it's clean and that any buttons and text is above or below so that it's not like one's not distracting from the other. I think that's the biggest problem with this website is that the text is on the image, and so it's hard to actually see it or realize that it's a button to click on.
Right, right. So like Steve, if you did want to keep this animation, moving those links to the top and having everything along the top be a link, or differentiate let us create your story from the actual links. That's another issue here, because let us create your story isn't a clickable link, but the exact same color text is links down below. And so that creates a problem, because the user expects consistent behavior when they see consistent textual formatting and colors and elements on a page, and we're missing that here because there's an inconsistency between the clickability of these. So if you want to keep that slideshow, move those links up to the top and make your navigation text consistent across the top. And if you want the let us create your story as your tagline, then change that text color or font or both so that it is distinct from the actual navigation links.
Ooh, I like Drew's comment. He said, I like the idea. Did you just say this and I missed it somehow?
No, I didn't say this.
Oh, let us create your story being a link that takes you to the contact page.
That's a really good idea. So that could be a link as part of your navigation, taking it to your quote page. That's a really great idea, Drew. I like that. Okay, so shall we step inside?
We shall.
Okay, we're stepping inside. So this step inside takes us to get to know me. So this is basically an about page. And real quick, just going back, to me, step inside is the first logical link to click because it is the first link, and it's basically saying this is the landing page, now come into the website. But I'm not sure if, and Zara, I'm asking you, is it a good idea to immediately go into an about or a get to know me sort of page versus showing more of the work or a quote page or something else like that?
I would probably go, like, if that was like the initial link, I would take them either to a gallery or to the contact me page personally.
Okay.
Because those are the things that people are looking for, right? They're looking for more of your work and they're looking for ways to get in touch with you. And I know the contact me button is also on there.
Right.
So I would almost, if you have that kind of, there's a word for the first page where it's just like an image and a whatever, like a landing page. I think splash page is what I'm thinking of. If you have that kind of thing going on before people enter your website, I would say take them to a page that shows them more of your work and why they should book you. Like, give them more reasons versus tell them about you, which is fine. Like, they should get to know you, but unless they really love your work, they're probably not gonna move further in to find out about you or dates or anything like that.
Right, right. Yeah, because like generally speaking, if they're there, they're interested in your work. And it's entirely possible that they're interested in you as well, but they're probably more interested first in seeing more of your work and learning about the services that you're providing, the prices or whatever it else may be, because that's what is probably forward in their mind. And it's less, oh, who is this guy? How did he get into
Right.
photography? Like, again, this sounds mean to say it, but for the most part, people don't give a shit about us until they do give a shit about us.
Right.
And so, kind of like, it's like when you think about meeting a person, right? You don't walk up to a person and shake hands and immediately say, I'm a passionate photographer. I love photography and I've been shooting for 20 years or whatever. And I'm not trying to be mean to you, Steve. Like, we're all passionate about this, and putting that passion into your about and into your website is all appropriate. But think about when you meet somebody, you don't immediately start telling them about you. Ideally, you are engaging and having a conversation with them to learn about them, and that's the kind of thing you want to do with the website. Let them learn about you through that engagement. They want to see your work. They want to see the other information that's interesting to them.
Well, and here's too, like, again, like, Steve, your work is great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really actually like it, and I was just scrolling through your blog. You have some amazing images, so why not make it go to your blog?
Yeah, that would be a good
That
place to start.
And so the other thing too is I think you really need to focus on what you want your main book of business to be. So do you want it to be weddings? Do you want it to be portraits? Do you want it to be kids? Do you want it to be events? And then just focus on one of those and leave the rest to kind of just be like a gallery or something like that. Like there's still a link to your website, but just clean it up to, really be focused on one genre versus multiples.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I immediately noticed when we landed on this page in general is there is, to me, there's too many links. There's too many links to choose from, and that's that sort of choice paralysis that people will run into. Like availability blog, client previews, events, group family. Like there's just too many links here to choose from. So that focus that Zara was just talking about, like if it's going to be weddings, then just have like, I don't even think you need a home. Like the home link makes no sense because it takes you back to the splash page. So that link should probably either disappear, or home should take you to like the home that's here, which would be maybe the gallery, the wedding gallery as an example. Right, so maybe this is the page that you step inside to, just as an example. And then as they're bouncing around the website, if they hit home, it takes you back to this again. So that's one thing that I would change. And then I would really slim down this number of links and focus it, like Zara said, on the one type. Like have home, have the about, have weddings or gallery or whatever you want to call it, and have the blog and have contact, right? Like that's 5 links, and that even feels like too many. What do you think, Zara?
I agree with that absolutely wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I found that the best thing that works is having a homepage and then sorry, I'm like trying to find where this is. Having a homepage, having an about me page, about us page, whatever. An investment page, so my investment page and my contact page, I have one that's an investment and one that's a contact, and they're both contact forms. So the investment page has my starting point for prices, and I'm looking at it, and it's funny because it needs to be updated. And the contact me is like where we're located, and again, like a form for them to fill out to contact me. With portfolio has seniors and weddings in here, so they can click on weddings and I'll take them to a page with wedding images. They can click on whatever. And so you can actually do like a portfolio link with like links under it for events and whatever, if you do want to keep all those images on there. Then I have a blog link, and then the other link is the education for other photographers, which takes you to a whole different website. So really it's 5 links. It's a home, about, investment, contact, portfolio, and blog. Or 6, right. I guess I can't count.
Yeah,
but the investment and contact can be the same one, right? I just like having those 2 separate, because some people, like, either way, it's going to the same call to action thing. So, but yeah, having it be simple is best. Like,
Right.
just think about like when you go onto a website or you go onto a store link or something like that. If you are going to put more boundaries between me and getting to the thing that I want to purchase, I'm gonna give up and go somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, let's be
absolutely.
honest.
Yep. No, that's absolutely true. I routinely will give up on websites if I'm trying to find a thing or there's
Right.
shit going on that website that just irritates me. So like just me personally, here's a few examples of stuff that will make me immediately leave a website. Right? Auto playing videos, especially those fucking videos that pop out and follow you down the page. Fucking hate those. Pardon my language. Right?
Wow. Tell us how you really feel
Yeah.
about
Pop-ups, again, we already mentioned this. Flashy ads and animations and crap that are happening off the side trying to distract you and gain your attention. And then just flat out obtuse user interface that makes it hard for me to find the thing that I'm trying to find. Right? Like, as an example, if I go to a website for a store, I am probably trying to figure out what hours they're open. That should
Right.
be like the first fucking thing I see. And I cannot tell you how many physical store websites I go to that I have to go like 10 clicks in to find out what time the fucking store opens. You know, like that's just so frustrating. CyberDoc, I am so no scripting, uBlock origining most of the websites and have killed those kinds of elements. But yes, that's a really good point. CyberDoc says as a user, you can use plugins to kill some of those really terrible elements. Okay, so what again with the logo, simplifying that, and also again with the social media, I would push those social media links like down here. Whoops. Down here to the bottom, like to the very bottom of a page where they're just littler links. To me, again, they're so enticing because Facebook and Instagram have such strong pulls that if you've already got them on your website, don't give them the opportunity to leave. Make that less obvious. Make it something that they can see if they've gotten all the way down to the bottom of their link, or make them really tiny,
Right.
like in the upper right-hand corner of the page or something. But you want to keep people on your website, not take them out.
Right. So I think the top 3 things that I would suggest for Steve is updating the logo, making it easier to get into the page, and just simplifying things on that first page when they get in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And your tags on the side, like just create a link that says galleries, and you can put those seniors, weddings, kids, portraits, whatever, all
Yep.
under that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, those would be my big 3 things that I would say would help a lot.
All right. So should we move on to the next one?
I think so.
Okay,
I think
this
so.
is photos by Alyssa. Oh, go ahead.
And Steve, like if you have any questions, like feel free to like reach out to me or Spiros.
Yeah.
Like we'd be more than happy. Oh my gosh, I can't talk again.
It's all that wine, right?
On an empty stomach again. We'll be happy to, walk you through what we think. And again, like our opinion is just our opinion.
Right.
So there's other people who will have their opinions, and it's going to be whatever works for you and your clients.
Yeah. But yeah, we're happy to follow up with you guys. You can post in the group if you want further critique on changes or contact us directly. Absolutely. Okay, so here we have photos by Alyssa, and she's got a nice clean land. I think the first thing that I would say is there's maybe too much work on the front page. Like Steve had a few images in rotation, which can work with the changes. Here, I think there's too much going on.
I would agree. Yeah, okay. I would. Same thing. Sorry, I'm like looking at it. I love the wedding photos. So I would almost leave those. However, again, my suggestion would be whatever work you are trying to go after. So like the portrait work is also beautiful on here. And so if you are more, willing or more wanting to get more portrait work, then I would suggest leaving those. I would do 3 and just leave it at that so people don't have to scroll too far. But again, it's up to who you're wanting to contact. Like the kids' pictures, the little newborn one is super cute. Like that one would make me want to book, my newborn pictures, because I want a picture of, my kid and my husband in these poses. So depending again what you want, but just simplifying that front page.
Yeah, yeah. My wife said the same thing. Too many and two different kinds of photos, and I absolutely agree. Focus is going to be probably a repetition you're going to hear from us,
Mm-hmm.
and this is never at the exclusion of other work that comes to you. But your website and your marketing efforts should really be focused on the principal type of client and photography you're trying to do. And so that would help here on this front page.
Yep.
I do like, the simple link navigation structure along the top. Um, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 links. Like, I don't know. Like, here's something that I would suggest. So Alyssa has a testimonials page, which I think is great. But I think this would be more powerful if you had these testimonials on a few, not all of these, but a few of these testimonials on the front page,
Yep.
interspersed in between some of these amazing photos, right? So
Right.
now you've got like beautiful, engaging photo, small block of text with somebody talking about how amazing you are as a photographer. Another beautiful, amazing photo. More great text just talking about how amazing you are, and that puts these two things into one and makes people really
Yep.
feel really good. You could keep the testimonials, but I don't know what you think, Zara. I think just this text page of testimonials isn't probably doing many favors.
So I would actually just put it under the About Me section. So I would make that About Me a drop down tab and
Okay.
have, About Alyssa, testimonials, awards. So that would combine three of those tabs into one. And so people,
Yeah.
if they want to read testimonials, I would definitely take one or two of them and put them on the front page,
Mm-hmm.
or even your favorite one, stick it on the front page, because I do think that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would do is on the testimonial page, I would add a photo from each one of these sessions
Mm-hmm.
to it. So here's a
Yes.
photo, like, it was a family photo, or it was a fashion photo, it was a portrait photo. Here's the photo. Here is what these people said about it, because
Yes.
it makes it that much more
That
powerful to
connection.
put a face
Mm-hmm.
and a real person behind the testimonial.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I also think just taking a quick look at the reward awards. I don't think the awards is helping any because these awards aren't particularly related to the type of photography she's trying to sell. It doesn't seem to me. There's one award which is the men in gumboots, which looks like a wedding photo, but the rest of them look to be far more creative, mostly artistic stuff, which is amazing. I'm not diminishing the awards that Alyssa has received here, but they don't appear to have really any connection with the type of work she's actually trying to sell. And to me, I think that should be gone entirely. I don't know what you think about that, Zara.
I think that awards are important because, with other photographers looking at your page and just other people, I think it's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I
yeah.
would stick it under the About Me. I just have, like, on mine, I have like award winning. So if someone wants to know what like my awards are, I'm more than happy to provide those for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like it's under the About Me section for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a good place for it to live.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see that totally.
Um, I
All right.
think that one of the things, I love that the galleries are in here and she has them separated, but I would put it under like a portfolio tab and combine the portraits, weddings, events
And once again,
into.
like, do we want to have like three different galleries, three different types of galleries, like portraits and weddings and events?
I feel that three is probably the max that you
Okay.
want to put on there, if
Mm-hmm.
those are the three things that you're specializing in.
Okay.
Um, I would probably just leave it at weddings and portraits, because if you do weddings, then you also do events. However, I'm looking at her events page, and it's actually kind of cool because she has have a camera can travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shows people like, oh, like, okay, I maybe, I'm 3-4 hours away, but like we can hire her to travel over here.
Right.
But or like weddings might be a little bit more limiting.
Mm-hmm.
um but I would combine them into one tab.
Okay. Okay.
And then as far as the contact, super simple. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe center the the text. The feel free to use the form below to send me an email. I'll do my best to respond within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I would center that. Also, I've learned this on my own skin. Never put a time limit on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you are going to say something along the lines of like 48 to 72 hours of business, like business hours within 72
Mm-hmm.
hours, 72 business hours,
Right.
something like that, because most people are contacting you on weekends and at night.
Yeah.
And people are sticklers when they see stuff like that. Like I had a lady who just went off on me. She had messaged me on like a holiday weekend that I had taken off. And when I like take off work, I try to put everything away. I turn off my notifications on my phone for email and things like that, and I don't answer those until I'm at my desk. We were in the mountains, and I just like she blew up my Facebook
Mm-hmm.
Messenger. She blew up my Facebook wall. Like, you said 24 hours. How dare you? You haven't responded back to me. And
Yeah.
it like
It'll burn
it
you.
looks terrible when other people are seeing it on Facebook. And on top of it, like, man, like, come on. It was a
Right.
holiday weekend. It was over
Right.
Memorial Day weekend, a couple of years ago. And so, yeah, I took that off. Like, I don't put an hour. Like, we will contact you as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Something like that.
right. Real quick on the testimonials, Steve had a question. He said, would a testimonial be better to shorten as a quote, like she was great and had an awesome time, or a full write-up?
Kind of depends on where you're using it. So, like, if you have a testimonial page like Alyssa does, then I would leave the whole thing up. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
using it like on your front page or within a blog or something like that, I would shorten it and just keep like, do like the little dot, 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 whatever part you want, dot, 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 kind of
Mm-hmm.
showing them. Um, but yeah, like, it's, I think having those either way, the
Yeah.
shorter ones are great because then like people can just like glance at them and get to the point. But yeah, if you have the testimonial page, do a longer one.
And what you could do too is you could actually say, have the short chunk of the testimonial be a link back to the full
Yep.
testimonial on the testimonial page so they can get the full thing in context, but you can use that short little bit where it's appropriate to have something that's like immediately sort of digestible as a testimonial.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say is turning it into a hyperlink that leads to that testimonial, but make sure that hyperlink pops up on a new page, like on a new tab or a new window, versus it actually like diverting from what they were reading.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing I would add here on Alyssa's testimonial page, there's got to be, for me, there's got to be at least one photo on this page. The fact that this is all text is just turning me off.
Yeah.
As a photographer, even if it's just like a header image on the page of one of your best wedding portrait, whatever it is that is your principal, something there to sort of set the page, because just this comes across to me as a bit of a wall of text, and I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but it's put me off and it makes me not want to read it. And you want people to read these, so I feel like this testimonial page could be redesigned in a way that would make it more compelling, and maybe adding an image for each testimonial to break it up would work better, even on this testimonial page, as well as maybe doing it on the front page. All right, anything else you want to add for Alyssa's website, Zara?
Nope. I think I love the fact that it's super clean.
Me too. I love that. I think it's.
And
Go
I
ahead.
think it can just be simplified a little bit more, and then it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's take a look at Nicole's website. I don't know if Nicole.
Actually, hold on. I do have one more thing.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Alyssa doesn't have a blog.
Oh, she doesn't have a blog.
I would highly, highly suggest having a blog on your website. But
yeah,
that's just me.
Mike just joined us, said he was out late taking some damn photos. How's it going, Mike?
Well, at least you were taking photos.
Exactly. All right, so we've got Nicole's website now. All right, so Nicole. This pop-up is killing me. I'm going to say it. This pop-up's killing me.
I would like to know how effective it is, because I do like that it says it's like the initial like contact me thing, and it says, hey, send me more information. Like there's a little checkbox at the bottom. Says send me more information about weddings. So I do wonder how well it works.
Yeah, and like if it's working and it's crushing it and it's bringing you all the leads and you're getting all the business, that's great. Keep it. From a user point of view, like we said earlier, I'm immediately turned off by pop-ups, and when a pop-up it hits me on a page, more often than not, I just close out of the page because I'm like, you know what, I don't need that. I just don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
So outside of that, real quick before we go on with Nicole's website, my wife did have a question. She said, "Why do you think a blog is so important on the website?"
Because it helps with SEOs. It helps with SEO. It also gives a personal touch, and it showcases more of your work in less of a gallery kind of thing. So let's say, like, for example, if you go to mine, and like I am actually terrible at keeping up with my blog, but like one of the blogs on there was my best friend's engagement session, and I'm looking at the pictures, and I actually need to change my host because it was Photo Bucket and there's a logo on all of them.
Oh no, which one is it?
It's the, let's see, Denver engagement session, Monica and Mike.
Photo Bucket screwed you. Yep.
Yep. Anyway, so I wrote this up, I shared it, and then I shared it on to my Facebook page, and it was a personal story because obviously it's like my best friend who just got engaged. It sent so much traffic to my website, which then made my SEO go even better, which made Google recognize it as a more of a valid page. It also helps with like link back. So like if I'm posting a commercial shoot, or if I'm doing a wedding one where I'm linking back to the engagement ring, to the other vendors, to the dress boutique, to things like that, then again, it's helping with that SEO and sending more people to my site and making Google think that, I'm actually a valid website versus just some random page.
Right. And as we talked about this is when you were up in Canada, we talked about on the social media show. One of the things I was talking about on that show is that your website is a way to attract people to you. So if you're trying to book weddings, your blog could be wedding tips, wedding things that are not even necessarily related to wedding photography, but just about helping people with their weddings. And if they're searching for like, what's a problem brides have all the time, Zara?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot, and now I'm trying to.
Sorry.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people like freak out about is like their flowers not getting delivered, or their like officiant not being on time, like timeline issues. I feel like is one of the bigger things that people get anxiety over.
Okay. So then you could do a blog post that's like, how to whatever. Let's say how to make sure that your wedding runs on schedule and on time flawlessly, right? And then you've got a whole post that's tips about doing that, and maybe you also have a free checklist that they can use to plan their wedding and do their time management, and that gets them on your mailing list. And then with your mailing list, you can start sending them more tips about weddings and also promotions about your products and services, and then maybe they hire you as a wedding photographer, right? So like that's an example of why your blog can be important as well.
And having a blog helps you be more personable and become that trusted advisor, which is exactly what you're saying. Like once people want to hire and do business with people they like. And so your blog is a way to get them to know who you are, to like you, and become trusted so that they can hire you. It's literally a marketing tool.
Yeah, exactly. Another note, my wife just commented, this is a brilliant idea, really. This is something that should be like a quarterly thing that people do, is check your website for things that are broken, my wife said. So lesson learned, look through your website every 3 months or so to find links not working or photo bucket logos on photos or whatever. So look for things on your website that's broken. Make whatever updates you need to make on that quarterly basis, and do whatever other refreshing your website needs. because that's actually one of the things that we didn't touch on when we were looking at Steve's. But one of the things you talked about was like this availability link, Zara. We were talking about this briefly before the show, and how this availability link probably could just disappear.
Right.
Or the fact, but if you do want to have something like this, the fact that it's pretty much out of date, like you still show February, March, April, May, and June on here, and something like this isn't updated. Another thing, again on your blog, Steve, is this special events TBD section over here. Like that should just be gone. If there's something that you're planning to put there, but you're not ready to put it there yet, just have nothing there. Because to have something that sort of looks unfinished is going to affect how people see you and your business. And that small impression of, oh, this website is out of date, or oh, this website isn't finished, or oh, their image hosting is got this weird ugly logo on it. That's like, little it's like death by a thousand cuts.
Right.
So you want your website simple, clean, and just showing the things you want to show. All right, so Nicole's website.
Okay.
I like her link set here immediately. Home, about, Nicole, portfolio, investment, contact, blog. We've got 6 links there. It's nice and clean. Kill the social media links on top. To me, again, I don't think I need to. Like we've got no videos on YouTube for the last 7 months. Like that YouTube link shouldn't even be there. And these links should be in a place that's going to not take away from the potential of them booking you.
I love the book today link though.
Yes. Yeah. That book today link over up in the upper right, that's great because that's a call to action. That's a quick, easy way for somebody who's like, oh, I want to book Nicole because she's amazing and I already met her or whatever. And she's been recommended by 5 of my friends. I just want to book. Boom, book today. Hit that link. You're good to go. You made it here.
Right.
But kill those social links because they're just going to take people away. I don't know what you think, but I feel like she's got a lot of photos on her front page, but I like how she's broken it up.
Yep, because there's text. There's text up. And here is like a good example of the sliding. I think Frank was asking about it. Like she has those images, but they stand alone. So it doesn't matter at what point you were on her website. Like it's just one main image versus, taking away from text or anything like that. I like that when you're scrolling through the front page, so even though it's a long front page, which I'm not a huge fan of typically, but like her header stays with you. So, you're scrolling, okay, you get to this point, okay, I really want to go to contact me, or I want to go to investment. The links are still there. I would potentially, if it was me, take out a few of the rows of just the wedding photos, but it also goes to show like they're all wedding photos. Like I know Nicole shoots a lot of different things.
And she even says it down here.
Yep. But at the front, like her forefront and her bread and butter is weddings, and that's what she wants to attract. So that's what it is. So then it comes to another call to action. She needs a button here where it says let's have a coffee.
Yeah.
She needs a button that says contact me.
Yep.
I love the little trivia question because I think it's cute.
That is,
I would probably take out the seniors, families, and all that from the bottom.
I would too.
But
I was going to say the same thing.
It can also work. Yeah, like that would be my thing is I would take those out just because that's under, the portfolio. She has all of those in there.
Yeah. And everything else has been so wedding centric that it breaks it when you see all of a sudden, all of this stuff here. When up till this point, it's just been nothing but wedding.
So yeah, I do think that your front page should concentrate on the one thing.
Yep.
Like you might specialize in 3 things, but I want your front page to only concentrate on the one thing that is your bread and butter and that you're wanting to you're actively marketing to get more of. Exactly.
This stuff can be under the portfolio, like you said.
Right.
One of the other things that I wanted to add, as far as you said, take out a couple rows. I don't know how you feel about this, but like this one last photo in this last row hanging out all by itself doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it should be like 2 rows of photos, so I would take out 3 or 4 of these photos. So you just have 2 rows here. But if you want 4 rows of photos, then it should be 4 full rows.
Right.
And that'll change dynamically on the different websites because you have like an even, or on different platforms because you have a an even number of photos, so it should dynamically update and look nice no matter where you have it on there. I'm looking at it on a 12.9-inch iPad, so maybe, in fact, let me look at it on my website here, or on my
So on mine, it actually pulls up as 4 per line.
Okay.
So on a website, it does. I wonder what it pulls up on a phone, though.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it on the phone right now. Because on my desktop, I can't scroll for some reason. Why won't it scroll? There we go. Yeah, on my desktop, it is scrolling more evenly, so that's fine. Yeah, the number of photos will change based upon the platform. So I guess not stress too much about that, but I do agree that I think there are too many photos there. All right. So let's take a quick look at our About page. I like that the trivia takes you to the About page, and then it says scroll down for the trivia answer. I like that she's got photos on here breaking up the text. Trivia answer is separated by that bar, so it stands out. My favorite photo of my dad and me taking just moments for. That's cute. Yep. I like her About page. I think that works really nicely.
Yep.
Oh, one of the other things we should quick come back to Steve's. We can't see your face here, Steve. And I know not every photographer is comfortable, being in front of the camera, but like your back to us in this About photo is a little bit off-putting because it's not inviting. It doesn't invite us to get to know you. It feels like you're turned away from us and you're actually not interested in connecting with us because you've got the camera up and you're looking through the camera.
Right.
So I would recommend changing this to a photo that shows your face, that is open and welcoming, rather than back to us. All right. She's kind of badass, sassy, but badass, Dave says. Dave Davey.
She is very sassy.
Yes, I got that. Mike had another quick tip that is very much worth pointing out, which is on your website, don't put your email in text on the page. Like, don't put email me at xyz@abc.com, because website crawlers will pick that up and spammers will start just destroying your inbox. Use a contact form that they fill out, and then that triggers an email that is sent to you. That's a really great tip, Mike.
Yep. And if you're using a studio management system like Tave or HoneyBook or Dubsado or any of those, Iris, you can actually make that contact form like pull into a lead in your studio management so that it's all in one place. That's what I do, and it's awesome.
I'm looking at Nicole's investment page here. I kind of feel like this image here in the middle of the page, that's kind of a layout of what looks like a promo card that maybe she hands out at like wedding shows or something, isn't doing her any favors because it's a little chaotic and it's hard to read because it's small.
Yeah, I would say just put one impact image there, get rid of that, and just say wedding collection starting at. And that's what it has always been for me, is I always give a starting point, and that's what she says, wedding collection starting at $34.99. So just get rid of that, the picture you have, and just put another just big impactful image there. Yep. And leave it at that.
All right. Should we take a look at my wife's website?
Yep, I think so.
So I helped. I designed this website for my wife. So let me know what a terrible job I did here, Zara. I don't think it's too bad. I also did things that my wife wanted me to do that I don't always necessarily agree with. So be cruel to be kind, my wife says. So I, again, will say right away, I don't think those social media links should be there. She wanted them there, but I don't think they should be there.
So I feel like social media links are great for contact me pages or about me pages. Like you can find out, like, I think we should be leading them back to the social media sites, because especially if you're not blogging on a regular basis, like that's where they're going to find you. And let's be honest, people aren't really coming to your website to scroll. They're coming to your website for a specific reason.
Yeah.
The social media links is where they can scroll. So they can go to your Facebook and like your page, and then things will pop up and it'll notify you, or Instagram. Just make sure that you actually have content on there. And I do think that it should be either like it can be in the footer of every single page, but having it on your About Me or contact page, saying, hey, to learn more about me, or to follow, our daily journey or whatever, check out our Instagram stories, check out our Facebook posts, things like that.
Yeah, and they're at the bottom of the page here, so I think they should probably just come off the top underneath that.
Yeah.
We should probably also change the get email updates to say something more compelling, because just get email updates is probably not very it doesn't like who cares, like
and I would move that. I honestly would move that to the bottom.
Okay.
Or I would do what Nicole does, but I know you and Kim both hate pop-ups. So probably not a pop-up.
No,
but
not a
move
pop-up.
it to the bottom versus being the very first thing. I would make the books don't review themselves just bigger and more prominent on that front, and not have that get email updates taking half of it up. I like that it's clean and simple. I would maybe work on, there's like 5 different fonts I'm seeing right now.
Are there?
And it's driving me crazy.
I guess
the font, like the kind of logo font for the books don't review themselves, is one.
Right.
The get email, subscribe, all of that is another. The home blog review about me is another one. And then on the blog post, like the header and the text are different. So sticking to like 3 different fonts. Obviously the logo is going to be different. Like your logo should stand out.
Right.
And I would say get a new logo, like get something that's really distinctive, something that can be small and that's going to be recognizable. So think of like the Starbucks sign, doing, so books don't review themselves with like, maybe off the top of my head, like a book opened with like a pen or something. I don't know, something cutesy, but not super cutesy, but something that's going to be recognizable and distinctive for the website, and just have that. So like I would do whatever that logo, cartoon, whatever the heck it is. I mean, even technically a headshot of Kim could be that. And then having books don't review themselves, have that as like a big tagline logo thing at the top.
Okay. She says,
obviously.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, she's blaming me for the email form on the top, which is correct. I told her we should have that up there, so we'll move that to the bottom. Go ahead.
I think that, you should definitely have that, but it also needs to be a call to action. Get email updates isn't really a call to action. Like I would say something like, hey, do you want to join our book club? Or, if you want to join our book club, something along those lines. I like that it's really simple at the top with the like home, blog, reviews, about me.
Yeah.
I would maybe move the about me to right after home, and then blog and reviews, and have the reviews be the last one.
Okay.
I like that the reviews have like everything on there, and I'm guessing each one of these is a link that goes to perfect,
directly to
whatever
the
page it is. I just clicked on a random one from 2015. It's A Kiss Before the Apocalypse, and the image is super pixelized, and I know it's just like the cover of the image, but if you can find images that aren't pixelized, it's just going to give it more of a professional look to the page.
Okay.
About me needs a photo. Or several photos. So you guys need to do a little shoot and put that up. And then the subscribe for email updates, I would still move that to the bottom of the page, or somehow, so like you can't see my screen, I'm going to take a picture and send it to you.
Okay.
Because it's squished.
Yeah, it is squished.
And so it just kind of makes it look funky.
You sending it on Facebook?
No, I texted it to you.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Let me just bring it up.
I would.
I gotta find it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty squished up. Yeah, the subscribe for email updates looks really goofy the way the words are flowing over on top of themselves.
Yeah, and so it just makes it look unprofessional.
Mm-hmm. What we can do is just have that be a footer at the end of each blog post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or once they are getting to a blog, maybe you have the pop-up there, or I don't know, something like that.
Right. Something like that. Okay. Well, that's not so bad.
Kim says, "Lasai about me."
Yeah.
Yeah, get a picture up there. You're married to a photographer.
Yeah, and she's also one of those people who believes that the camera steals your soul, so.
Well, close your eyes.
Right.
Candid photos.
Let's see. She says a lot of time with books there are very few pictures available, so can I do anything to unpixelate them? Unfortunately not. The best thing we could do is if we're far enough out ahead on the content, then getting the books from the library so we can take a photograph of the book cover, or we could get a scanner and just scan the covers so that we're getting a good high resolution image of it. Because she's right, like a lot of those are going to look pixelated because she goes to try to grab the book cover from like Google Image or whatever, and they're just all like super low res pictures, and they're not very good to work with. So go ahead.
So even like when you're reading the book, just take a picture of it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the reading she does on Kindle.
Oh.
And the problem is too, like sometimes she's getting advanced review copies through Kindle, so the book isn't available, but the review needs to come out like the day of. So we might have to find a better way to create images for the reviews that maybe isn't the cover, so that it's a higher quality image or something like that. Or it might be indie authors that literally don't publish a physical copy of the book, and it's just a Kindle or ebook or something like that. So there are limitations on what we'll be able to do there, but that's something that we can work on as far as just getting better featured images for her blog posts. Okay. Let's see here. Anything else that we want to cover? Or do you guys have questions about... Oh, Mike did have a question. We should answer this one. Mike said, is there a website maker software that you like? He said, I used to do small business website design. I used to use Joomla. I remember Joomla. Joomla was great, but it also sucked. So it honestly depends. I know, Zara, you said you use PhotoBiz for your photography website. It's not necessarily going to be a good choice for every type, but then you have like, if you're designing it and you feel confident enough that you're like a pretty, like savvy tech type person. WordPress, exactly. That's what I would say, WordPress.
So, and I just answered this like in the comments on Facebook for Davey. I love PhotoBiz because it's simple. Like, I am not tech savvy. I am not good at, creating layouts and things like that. I wanted something simple that I could just plug pictures and text into. And then on top of it, PhotoBiz's customer service is just like, it is literally the best in the world. I was with them initially. I went to WordPress because I wanted something that was more SEO friendly. Because at the time, PhotoBiz didn't have that great of an SEO. I didn't have a website for 2.5 years because I couldn't finish creating this WordPress site. And so finally I called PhotoBiz back and begged them to take me back. And they like rebuilt everything for me. They custom built my boudoir site for me. Like, they just have been so out of this world helpful that me paying them that monthly fee is 100% worth it.
Yep.
But again, I'm not tech savvy. If you are tech savvy, then you can fully customize something on WordPress, and that's probably going to work better for you.
Yep. And on top of WordPress, you need to consider the theme, because the theme is going to dictate what your website looks like. And so if you're using WordPress as your content management system, then I would recommend using Divi as the website builder if you want something that's like really easy to use as a website builder. If you like know how to, do PHP and like coding and all that kind of crap, then you're probably laughing your ass off at me because I use Divi. But I'm a tech savvy person, but I don't know how to code websites. And so like WordPress plus Divi for me is a good combo because I can manage WordPress and I can use Divi to make things look the way that I want them to look without having to know how to actually code a website.
Right.
If you need something that is even easier than that, like a photo biz solution, but you're not looking for a photo focused website provider, then Squarespace is probably the best option out there.
Yeah.
They have a pretty easy website builder with, drag and drop interfaces and templates that you can use to customize your site, and they have 24/7 customer support. So I'd probably recommend that. There are others out there. Again, we've mentioned them a couple times. There's like Wix and Weebly and whatever, and they're all competing in the same space, which is, super stupid, simple, easy to make websites. But Squarespace was there first, and they're probably the best.
I know PhotoBiz now too. They are starting to kind of branch out to other creatives.
Okay.
So they definitely have a lot they can offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I got Nicole to switch to PhotoBiz, and her
Okay.
website was on PhotoBiz. So
okay, yeah.
I want to say she built it in less than a week.
That's nice. Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, with tools like that, you can build websites very fast. Yeah. All right.
Well, we went a little over.
Yeah, but I think it was worth it being able to look at these different websites and talk about the different aspects. It's usually easier to do it in this format because when you're just talking about like good website design like we were at the beginning, understanding those basic principles is great. And implementing those sorts of principles is great. But how do you implement them, right? Like if you don't know, you don't know. So being able to look at other people's websites and see the feedback specific to different websites, then you can kind of go back to your own and look at it and say, okay, based on what they were saying, I could see how I could change my website to make it better.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, so it's easier to see and understand. So
yeah. What is our challenge for them for this week?
Get your websites up and functioning and working. That's a lot, actually.
It is a lot, yeah.
Well, what do you think? I'm the one who always comes up with it. Your turn.
I like putting you on the spot, though.
Take some of your own medicine.
All right, I'll take my own medicine. So here's what I think. For those of you who don't have websites, like Drew as an example mentioned that he needs a website, get that in motion. Whatever it takes to get it started. Having that full website in a week is a doable thing, but maybe that's a bit much because life is life and not always possible. So if you don't have a website, the challenge is you need to be taking steps by next show to be getting your website in place. So that means buying your domain and starting to survey the landscape and figure out which service you're going to use. Are you going to use a Squarespace? Are you going to build your own on a WordPress? What are you going to do? And report back with that in the group. If you already have a website, then based on what we talked about in today's show, I want you to go back to your website and look at it and see where you can make improvements. Make those updates that need to be made, like Zara. Zara, we want to see those photo bucket logos gone.
Oh my God. I don't even want to look at the rest of those blog posts.
Right?
Because I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, there's probably more. So look at your website and maybe not even like do the changes, but just make a to-do list of these are the things I need to do to update my website during my next quarterly website update. Right, and set that quarterly website update up and literally set aside a day for it. So if you're going to put this quarterly website update on your calendar, that day should be blocked off where all you're going to do that day is work on your website. Because working on your website is a thing where like, oh, this will take 5 minutes, and 20 hours later you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Right.
So block the day for doing that. That's what the challenge is. Harley has a really good tip. He says, start small. It's easier to make incremental changes than to try to do the whole thing at the start. And that's absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so a thing we should have done earlier, but we'll do now, which is ask you guys for a little bit of help. So we got merch, right?
Yep.
We got merch.
Go buy it.
Yeah, we got merch. Go buy it. How's that for a call to action? Harry says, where can we get the podcast? So you can get the podcast on any major podcast platform. Just do a search for Business Wind Up, and you should find us there. However, if you can't, I'm going to drop this link in the chat, and you can find our podcast at shp.photo/podcast. I'm pretty sure that's where I put it. I hope that's where I put it. I'll wait for the website preview to show up and see if that's correct. Oh, I did it right. Yep. So that's where you can find the podcast. That's on Anchor, but it'll also have links to like Spotify and all the other platforms.
iTunes.
Yeah. iTunes. Yep. Take your pick. So yeah, if you want to head over to the merch store, it's shp.photo/bizmerch, and you can pick up a hoodie or a pillow or a coffee mug. You should have had coffee this morning, Zara.
I had 2 cups before we even started talking.
Maybe not coffee this morning then. Yeah, if you pick up some merch, that would be tremendously helpful to us. If you can't afford the merch or don't want to buy the merch because it doesn't fit your style, that's cool too. I get that. It's also incredibly helpful to let people know about what we're doing, so you can share. You can share the show. You can share the Anchor link. You can tell people about the live stream. You can
invite people to the page.
Yep, to the page on Facebook, to our group. All that is also really, really helpful, and we appreciate all the support. We also appreciate the hell out of the fact that you guys come here and hang out with us these Wednesday mornings. So thank you very much for that. Anything else you want to add here, Zara?
Nope, I think we're good. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yes, thank you so
much. Really appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. I'm just adding the podcast link to the YouTube, and I'm also quickly going to make my wife a mentor or a moderator, so she's allowed to post links in the future.
That's probably a good idea.
That's probably a good idea. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We will see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Yes, next Wednesday. See you guys. Jazz fingers.
Jazz fingers. Well, look for the stop buttons. Here they are.